At North Greenville, I had no fears of being told I cannot pray in a group or public setting at school. In public schools, Christians have to fight for more and more religious freedoms that are slowly being taken away. My position on prayer in public schools is that it should be allowed. I believe that Christians are becoming the minority in our schools, and we are in a struggle to keep our freedoms. A Gallup poll in 2005 polled teenagers aged 13 to 17 on what type of prayers should be allowed in public schools. This next slide shows those responses. Most agreed to a moment of silence as opposed to prayers that mention Jesus Christ. The poll also indicated that most of the students in favor of prayers that mention Jesus Christ attend church. In this article, a 17-year-old responded, and I quote, "I think that the time to reflect is okay, but you shouldn't force prayer." I chose this topic because I experienced this issue firsthand during my high school graduation. At the end of my senior year, one student came forth and stated that he did not want prayer in our graduation. According to a local news website, golawrence.com, the student went to Freedom from Religion Foundation and the American Civil Liberties and filed a complaint that the voting method to determine if prayer would be allowed at graduation violated the separation of church and state. The argument that the student had was that the school should not dictate whether prayer would be allowed or not. The student tells of his story in the ffrf.org Fighting Graduation Prayer and Winning article. This student became involved with other activists who share his belief. He ended up receiving $1,000 as an award from the FFRF for his actions, but his actions caused much anger in our community and school. As a result, people in our school called him names. There were atheists at our school that supported him. However, most of the Christian students and the community took offense to his complaint. Prayer chains were formed in the community and petitions were started to allow prayer during graduation. The news caught wind of this story and followed it all the way to our graduation. In an article on www.wspa.com, the news reported that the legal counsel for the school said we should discontinue voting on prayer at graduation. Dr. Strickland, the superintendent, issued in his statement that the messages of the speakers do not reflect school's approval. The senior class president, who I grew up with in the church, made it clear that he would pray during his welcome speech. You would have thought you were at a Christian revival when he finished his prayer. He received a standing ovation with applause and cheers when he finished his prayer. These next two pictures are from my graduation. The first shows me with my mother wearing a white ribbon which shows support for the prayer during graduation. The second shows some of the graduation class with their caps removed during the prayer to show reverence and support of the prayer. So what is the current law on prayer in school during a graduation ceremony? www.allaboutpopularissues.org states that school officials cannot mandate a prayer be said. They also cannot restrict it. It is the speaker's opinion. But the school should make disclaimers that the speaker's words are that of the speaker and not a reflection of the school's views. In all my years participating in school sports, we always prayed before a competition. I never heard anyone complain about this. This next picture shows our team in prayer before a baseball game. So I think my school made the right decision. It was left up to the student to include prayer in his speech. The school legally covered themselves by making the proper statements to the press. The Bible has important directions about prayer. 1 Thessalonians 5:17-18 of the New International Version translation says, "Pray continually, give thanks in all circumstances." Ephesians 6:18 says, "And pray in the Spirit of all occasions with all kinds of prayers and requests." I urge all Christians to stand up for freedoms in public settings. I found a prayer that a young person wrote on artofacts.blogspot.com that expresses what is happening in public schools. This is an excerpt from that prayer. "Now I sit me down in school where praying is against the rule. For this great nation under God finds mention of Him very odd. If Scripture now the class recites, it violates the Bill of Rights. And any time my head I bow becomes a federal matter now. I am glad that the law did not restrict the speaker's decision to pray. If our community had understood the law, I don't think there would have been so much anger and resentment toward the student in our high school. He did not agree with the voting aspect of allowing prayer during graduation, but he was not against allowing the speaker to have free speech. We were just worried that we would not be able to pray during graduation, but everything worked out in the end. Thank you.